Hey guys, what's up? Alex here. Today we are here with the next round of the Go-Kart Championship. Now, before I start this, I better run through all the overalls and helmets so you understand them. But the first thing you're going to be watching is a 10-minute qualifying session so I can sort of run through the helmets and everything whilst we're doing this qualifying session. But, yep, you'll know that I wear the blue overalls and the blue helmet, and you're watching me on the right-hand side of your screen. You can see my dad on the left hand side of the screen with a white helmet and the blue overalls, as you can see in front of me on my screen. And then you've got Will with a white helmet and blue overalls, and Joe with a black helmet and black overalls, Harry with a red helmet and blue overalls, Tom with a black and white helmet and dark blue overalls. I know it might be a little confusing because my dad's suit is the same colours as Will and he's also got the same coloured helmet, but my dad's suit is a little bit brighter, and you'll see when I come up to sort of drive past him that you'll see that his suit's just a little bit brighter, and that will be sort of the difference between those two. So basically this was a race that happened last weekend, and I was really looking forward to a good result. I was hoping for a good result. Unfortunately, Ben couldn't race this race because he was working, and that was a bit unfortunate. But the next round should be, all of us, and probably be 7 people actually. It's just sort of Will's replaced Ben, if you will, for this one round, just because Ben couldn't make it and Will could make it for once. So it's a bit mixed up. Will, by the way, is Happy Horizons. If you don't know him, that's him on Twitter. And you can see there, I'm trying to go around the outside of Harry just back there, and I sort of had to fling it onto the grass because I don't think he saw me. So I nearly had a bit of a bigger accident than that. I mean, luckily I didn't, but that nearly didn't go well whatsoever. But luckily I just about kept it from spinning round. And as this was my birthday party race, I was really oh, that sounds a bit stupid because I'm 18, but my birthday sort of race, I guess that's what you would call it, and I was hopefully going to get a good result. But you can see everyone is pulling away, and I'm getting a little bit frustrated trying to follow Harry here, but he's actually doing some quite good pace, and towards the end of the qualifying session he did really well. And just a couple of updates on the go-karts and what people said about them, because it's probably the best time to say in qualifying. Basically, mine and Harry's go-karts seem to be pretty good, and so did Joe's. Joe's maybe not as good as mine and Harry's, but mine did seem really good. The steering was really precise, and overall just had quite a lot of grip, and Harry reported a very similar thing. Joe seemed to be quite similar in that as well. He seemed to have a decent amount of grip, but his straight line speed seemed to be quite good. Will, Tom and my dad, all of them saying that their karts weren't exactly the best, and you can see as I just drive around the outside of Tom make it look easy, even though I can assure you it wasn't, and it was a bit lucky really. I just managed to make the space. But obviously these are supposed to be equal karts, but obviously each person drives a little bit different. You can see there Harry spun it at the top in qualifying. Doesn't really matter. It's only qualifying. You're going for a fastest lap time, and one little spin doesn't really matter too much. But I'm sure he'll get that fired up, or I don't know whether he's lost his engine power or something. I assume not, but if he has, he'll get the engine fired up again. And if he's fine, I'm sure he will just start driving around again. But now I've got some clean air, I'm thinking to myself, this is the time when I'm going to get my fastest lap time. And I really had to push here, because when you've got someone in front of you, it sort of gives you sort of something to chase down, if you will. And I think the person in front of me was Joe, but I'm not 100% sure here. But I think that's the person I'm chasing down here. And I lost so much time just getting stuck up behind Harry and Tom. I wasn't really stuck up behind them. I was just I just couldn't find a way past. They're doing quite well defending. I don't even know whether they're particularly defending, but it's just they were driving quite well, and I just couldn't find a good spot to overtake. And I don't know whether I finished my sentence a minute ago, but when you've got someone to chase it gives you more incentive to sort of chase them down, as there's someone you can see in your sort of vision that you want to chase down and try and overtake. And yeah, this was really the time when I was trying to get my fastest lap. I knew that I got a pretty decent amount of space, and there wasn't a huge amount going on around me. I think Tom's a couple of seconds back from me. He's sure I passed him a couple of laps ago, but overall I think this was one of my better performances in qualifying. I'm not normally that amazing at one lap pace, especially in the qualifying session. I mean, obviously I think in the first session or actually no, because last year, not last year, the first round we didn't have qualifying, if I remember correctly, and the second round my dad got pole position, and it's been a very mixed up grid. I haven't got onto the pole, or I haven't started at the front in quite a long time. It actually would have been last year that we weren't doing sort of championship rounds. That's the last time that I actually grabbed the pole position. But I'm looking to get a pole position here. I feel that my pace was good, and I'll let you know at the times at the end. But I was, Will's a champion, a go-kart champion, and I know that he's got a huge amount of speed. He hasn't been into Filching Manor in a little bit of time, so maybe he was a bit rusty as well. I think we're coming up now behind Joe, but I'm not 100% sure. My camera's pointing down a little bit here. I sort of just to guesstimate really, because I haven't really predicted it in a long time. I haven't really used my camera in a long time, so I couldn't predict the angle which the camera needed to be pointed at. So I think it's a little bit down, but it doesn't really matter too much. You can see the steering input maybe a little bit better this way, and you can see back there I got past Joe on the inside. Now Harry, obviously after his spin, is nearly getting lapped, I suppose, if you will. It's only qualifying, doesn't matter about being lapped or anything, but catching up to Harry, and in front of him is Will, and this is sort of closing to the sort of end part of the quality session. As you see here, Harry sort of squeezes me onto the curb and then squeezes me through here after take to the curb on both occasions. I'm not sure whether he saw me there or not. I don't know whether it was really an aggressive move. I don't really see it as it was. My cart was down the inside, so he maybe just didn't see me there. I mean, it doesn't really matter. You get a pretty harsh ride in the go-karts anyway, so a little jump over the curb doesn't really make that much difference. Maybe a sort back in the morning after, but it doesn't really matter a huge amount. And obviously now Will in front of us is going to be looking for a good lap time. Obviously he hasn't took part in any of the two races we've done so far. And just a quick note about the points format for anybody wondering, because I'm pretty sure someone's going to ask it in the comment section, so probably best if I write it down. For these 10 or 15 minute races, this is two 10 minute races as well, by the way, you get 5 points for pole position, and you also get 12 points for the race win, 10 points for second, 8 points for third, 6 points for fourth, fifth is 4 points, and then sixth is 2 points, and then the seventh would be 1 point. And I haven't actually written that down because we haven't had 7 drivers yet, but seventh would be 1 point. And the championship standings, you'll see at the end of this, but at the current time, just to let you know, I am on 47 points, Ben's on 40 points, Job's on 31, Tom's on 20, my dad's on 17, Harry's on 4, and obviously Will, as he hasn't driven before, is on 0. And now I'm trying to go side by side with Will. I know it's only qualifying, but it was nice just to get a bit of race preparation in, as I thought really I was going to be racing with Will in this race, and also Job, he looked quite fast as well, so I was assuming I'd be racing those two. And I didn't really know what was happening with Harry, Tom and my dad. I wasn't too sure what was happening with them, so I couldn't predict how their times were going. Obviously I didn't come up to lap Tom or my dad, so I didn't know where their speed was. And you can see there, Will sort of does what Harry did and sort of doesn't give me a huge amount of space on the inside. I'm not sure whether was he called my move aggressive or his move aggressive. It doesn't really matter at the end of the day, but because it's only qualifying, and nobody's purposely trying to be aggressive or overly aggressive, I could say, but maybe he just didn't see me there or something. But I'm just really trying to find a way past, maybe get one last lap time in here, and I completely mess up this and just am all over the place. And look at that save. I don't know how I did it. I had to go from one angle turning right, and then I had to go maximum left, if I remember correctly there. Already like 20 seconds ago, because I'm so slow at explaining it. But yeah, I went from like one lock to the other lock on the steering, and it was kind of crazy how I saved it, to be perfectly honest. It's just because I got out really wide in the corner before the one which is coming up to here. This corner right here, I just got really wide out through here, across that sort of stuff and the sort of stones on the outside. And now was my sort of best time to, I think, get past Will here, try and get into that slipstream. But Will, as I said, he's a go-kart champion, TKM 4-stroke champion. He's very good at defending. He knows how to race. His kart wasn't really up to par today. If we'd had similar karts, I really don't know the result. It probably was one of the best I'd ever driven, but it would have been good to see. But I think Will was lacking a bit because of the kart as well, and maybe he was a bit rusty. I'm not too sure. But you'll see the qualifying times, or actually I haven't actually got all the times, but I can tell you my time, and I think I remember what Job and Will's times are. And I think this is on to the last lap now. I'm not 100% sure, but I think it is the last lap that we do. And everyone's trying to just get their last lap time in, hopefully maybe get that, you know, pole time whether they can on the last lap. You know, especially now at this current time, I've actually got 3 cars directly, karts I should say, directly behind me. I've got Will, and then I think Job, then Harry. It was a line of 4 really, and I think this is up to the checkered flag here, and hopefully I'm right. Yeah, I lift off here, and I'm not sure of the results whatsoever. You can see there Will flying past. I think Joe flies past in second there, yeah, and I think Harry was a little bit further back. But indeed, I did get pole position there. I got it by 0.8 of a second over Job. I got a 29.7 lap time, whilst he got a 30.5, and Will got a 30.6, if I remember correctly. That's all I can remember. I'm not very good at remembering things. Probably the piece of paper downstairs or something. But anyway, this is the first race. It got me on pole position on the right-hand side of your screen, and on the left-hand side of your screen was my dad in P6. He was really not very happy with the go-kart. But you know, at the end of the day, he's saying everyone else is improving, and yeah, as my dad is really tall, it's really hard for him as well, because obviously the straight line speed and everything when you're taller isn't great, and also you know, aerodynamically, if that even makes sense in a go-kart, you know, you stick up a bit more in the go-kart because you're taller. That makes any sense whatsoever, you probably understand. But there you go, on my screen you can see it right up behind Will here, trying to get the position, and Harry goes for a spin. My dad has the slide to try and avoid him there. Harry goes for a spin on the first lap. Maybe if he wasn't so aggressive on the curbing, trying to just get that inside line, maybe he could have got away with that. But now I'm trying to find a way past Will as soon as possible, as I know Job is very fast. You know, he got a pretty decent lap time in qualifying. That was I think my best ever lap time was a 29.7, and I think I pretty much matched it in qualifying there. But here's the move down the inside. I made it pretty easy for myself. I knew Will's kart was sliding all over the place, so I pretty much just put it down the inside and got the position, and that moved me up into P2 here. And my straight line speed seems to be pretty good as well. It wasn't amazing, but it seemed pretty good. And you can see there the shadow, Will trying to put the kart down the inside. I knew exactly what he was going to do, but I wanted to keep my racing line and the momentum through the corner. I know it was a bit risky because I knew he'd dive it up the inside, but I thought, and that was just about right, that my sort of speed through the corner was enough to keep it, and it just about was, which was kind of lucky. And you can see my dad slightly struggling on the left hand side of the screen. He's just saying there's no grip in his kart here, and I don't know whether you can really see it in the way he's driving. Just seems to be no grip through the sort of tighter corners, which is really unfortunate. I wish that we all had exactly equal karts, but sadly that you know, doesn't really happen. It's hard to get a really equal car, unfortunately, and that's just the thing it is. I mean, obviously they do their best to keep all the karts exactly the same, but really that's not too easy. You saw just back there, I was trying to go down the inside of Joe, but he wasn't having it, and he just didn't let me pass there. Fair play though, he was being pretty good with the way he placed his go-kart on the track. You can see I'm just trying to find a way past, but I just literally can't. He's doing quite a good job at defensive driving here. I'm not even sure whether he's doing it on purpose, to be perfectly honest, but he's doing quite well of just keeping the car on the track. And you can see quite a bit of grip through there, and as Job is quite a bit lighter than me, he pulls away in the initial part of the straight, but obviously I can claw that back in the sort of end of the straight because of the slipstream that I can have. Now, can I go to the outside line? No, I can't, but I do get a very good run through the corner doing that outside line, and I'm trying to do an outside line here, but that's just not going to work, is it? Let's be honest. And I'm just trying to find a good spot to try and go for the overtake. I was thinking about it there, but that would have been really risky, and then Joe messes up a little bit there. He slides and hits the side of me, and I get down the inside and go up to P1. It took me a good like 4 or so minutes, I think, to get back into P1, or about 3.5 minutes to get back into P1 after losing it right off the start. Obviously, you guys know my starts are just absolutely terrible. I'm not sure whether it's because I weigh more than most people or what, but my starts aren't very good. Tom's starts aren't really very good, and my dad's starts aren't very good. We're all quite tall, so it might have something to do with that. And obviously, because you're tall, you weigh a bit more and all that sort of stuff. But who knows, it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. But you know, obviously it'd be nice to get good starts for once, but it doesn't seem to happen too much, unfortunately. So I get it up into P1, and now the job is to just try and put in some consistent lap times and hopefully bring home a decent result in terms of the lap time pace as well as the race pace. Don't want to do anything stupid though by pushing too fast and maybe spinning out or anything. I mean, I haven't really spun out in a race for like maybe 2 years. I probably jinxed myself right now. It's probably going to happen the next race that we do, but we'll see what happens with that. But actually, some news for the next race. I've actually got some more GoPro sort of head mounts. So in the next race, I think Ben will be having the second camera and I'll have the main camera. And I haven't actually asked Tom. Will didn't really want to put sort of the suction pad things that you have to put on to put the GoPro on. He didn't particularly want to put that on his helmet, which is understandable because I think it was, you know, it's like an FIA approved helmet. Mine's only a motorbike helmet. So yeah, I fully understand that. I could ask Tom, maybe he might want to put a camera on. I'm not too sure. See, I'll ask him in the next race or next time we go karting. But overall, I was pretty happy with my performance so far. I'd managed to fight my way up from, is it P4, I think? I think I lost down to P4 at the start, and I managed to fight my way back up through the field, and now I'm back into P1. A very intense race because I really put myself under pressure by having such a bad start. And really, if I had, you know, done a little bit better at the initial start, I reckon I could have had a much better race, and I could have you know, got past maybe one person a lot easier. But you know, having to get past Will, who was very good at defensive driving, and then Job, who just had such a big lead after I got past Will, it was kind of tough. But overall, I was pretty happy with my pace here. I mean, I was putting in some really decent lap times. You know, I was getting in consistent sort of 30s throughout the race, and a couple of really good lap times, which I'll share to you at the end of the race. And my dad, on the left hand side of the screen, hasn't really got a huge amount of stuff going on. He's actually got Tom in front of him, I think about 5 seconds up the road, and then he's also got Harry about another 5 and a bit seconds up the road. So about 10 seconds in front of him is Harry, and about 20 seconds I think in front of him is Harry and Job going at it for second. Not Harry and Job, Will and Job going at it for second place, and I've got probably, I don't know, about maybe a 5-second advantage over Job and Will at this current time. I'm not too sure. It's very hard to predict exactly what the gap was at this current stage, but I do know what it was at the end of the race. And I think it is around this sort of time that Will and Job got into a very close battle, and I didn't obviously see it because I couldn't look back. But I was told after the race that they were sort of dicing it out and trying to find some good places to overtake. And Will did go for a move down the inside of Job, and I think Job half spun it or something, which meant that he ended up losing quite a bit of time. So that meant Will was elevated up into second place, whilst Job took third, and Harry at this time is in fourth after his fight back. I think he's in fourth, maybe he's not. But Harry's looking to fight his way through the field. I can't remember exactly where Harry was actually. I might have completely messed this all up, but I'm pretty sure that Harry is in P4 at this current time. Then Tom is in P5, and my dad's there in P6, which you can see. He's not that far behind the cart in front of him, and he's trying to catch them. But he said at the end of the day his cart was really pretty bad. I mean, he got pole in the last race, so he's obviously not doing too badly. And obviously just a bit unfortunate for him that he got one of the bad carts. There are some really good carts there, as I think I showed and Harry showed, and there were also some pretty awful carts there, which my dad and Tom Will showed. That, you know, a bit of a variety of go-karts there. You know, got some really good ones, some really bad ones, but you know, at the end of the day, I think you know, luckily because we got qualifying, if you've got something really badly wrong with the go-kart, you can just go in and say. And you can see here, I'm not that far behind my dad to catch up, and this would be to lap him in this first race of the day. Obviously, we've got a 10-minute qualifying session, a 10-minute race 1, and a 10-minute race 2. That is the layout of racing we, you know, will mostly do. For the first race, we didn't, and that was because, well, we didn't get the option really. It was just torrential rain. If you go back and watch round 1, you'll probably quite enjoy it. There's loads of crazy stuff happening in it. And here we are going for the lap, going down the inside there and up into well, I'm into I'm in P1 already, and my dad's probably just going to try and see what the lines are taking. Maybe hopefully that helps his lap times improve a little bit here. But you can just see my kart just has a lot of grip. I can just throw it into the corners and it still just grips, which is a bit unfortunate to see probably from my dad's point of view. It's a bit probably annoying to see someone someone go past you that fast. But I think he did realise at that point that my kart was good, and I was quite doing really well in terms of how I was driving. And also my dad realised his kart was pretty bad. So we're getting near the end of this race. I think we're going to hit the 10-minute mark in a little bit here. It actually goes on for a little bit longer. I think it's about 21, not 21, it's about a 10.5-minute race it ends up being. I think we may just sort of nab an extra lap. I think this might be the last lap that I'm going on to here. So I was pretty confident that that I was gonna have like probably a 6, 7, 8 second gap maybe to the guys in second and third behind. Obviously at this time I didn't know that Job and Will were battling each other, if you will, and there you can see that I managed to get Tom up to the finish line actually here, and that is it. I didn't want to slow down straight away because I didn't want to be cruising on the racing line. So I get across the line and I win the race, and you can see my dad's crossed the line now and slowing up a bit as well. I was the only person to lap my dad and Tom. You can see I had a pretty decent gap, which was good. I was happy about it, and I was hoping that I could hopefully do something similar in the second race. Obviously I knew as a reverse grid for the second race it was going to be pretty tough to do as good a race, if that makes any sense, because obviously I've got to start through the back, and I'm going to probably get a bad start once again and probably end up being last or second to last through to turn 1, depending on how my dad started. And first person into the pit lane here, and I think it might be the only mistake that I actually made today on this race, was doing this, just parking it a little bit too close and hitting that go-kart there, but it doesn't really matter. Let's move on to the results. So I get the win and 12 points for that, and that moves me up to 64 points. Ben didn't score and stays on 40. Job is in third, only 1 point behind Ben now, with a +8 for finishing third. Tom finishes in fifth place in that race, sorry, and gets 4 points. My dad ends up 6th place in that race and gets 2 points to move on to 19. Will in his first race gets second and now gets 10 points, and Harry is now last in the championship, equal on points with Will, and Harry actually finished 4th. That was his best race result ever. And now we're going to move on to the third race. This race was pretty interesting. You can see I'm going to my grid position here. I'm ending up in 6th place, obviously, because it's a full reverse grid, meaning I start 6th, Will starts 5th, Joe starts 4th, 3rd place will be Harry on the grid, 2nd place will be Tom, and then 1st place would be my dad. You can see we're lined up in order here, and you can see Job cuts into his grid position and gets pushed back. Not sure how or why they lined us up like this, and Harry's got to do exactly the same thing, and he actually clips Will a little bit there, and you can hear I laugh a little bit there. It's a bit humorous, I thought. He clipped Will as he went around. Then Harry, later the marshals have just left Harry in this really awkward position way outside his pit box. I have no idea why they did it. I think just waiting for my dad to come through to first do it, but they end up doing that, and now we're all in position for this final race of the day. And obviously the same points as for the main race, 12 for the win, 10 for second, and 8 for third. So now we're just waiting for the lights to go green and we'll be out, and away we go. No wait at all for the lights, and you can see a pretty bad start. And watch Will here, dives from one side of the track to the other, and my dad, as he said to me before the race started, that he's going to go from first to last, and unfortunately for him he did, as we tucked through turn 1 there, and you can see a massive group of go-karts here, and I think Job has leapfrogged from 4th on the grid all the way up to 3rd. So he's done a great start there, and Harry's getting a little bit sideways. And this was the toughest race to gain positions. Everyone was defending really well. You can see Tom making Will go over the curb that I was pushed over earlier by Will. So interesting tactics by Tom. He managed to keep Will, behind him there, which was pretty impressive. And I tried to go for the move around the outside here of Will, and we go side by side. And when we go side by side once again, Will gets the inside line, and once again we're going to go side by side as I get the speed through the inside. Will, I didn't actually expect him to leave me space there, but he does, and that means we're running side by side. We must have been running side by side for a good couple of corners now. My dad puts it up the inside, but he just doesn't have any straight line speed. I don't know what happened to his go-kart there. It even looked like he lost power, but I run it around the outside of Will and up into P4, and now I've got Tom to deal with. And no, I haven't, because Harry's off the track and I have to divert onto the grass, and I'm now down to P6. So I give Harry the thumbs up in a jokey way. Obviously that's not being rude or anything, just give him the thumbs up to say he was alright or whatever. And I was sort of laughing here. I wasn't really too annoyed. I was confident that I could make my way back through the field, maybe not grab a top 2 or 3 finish, possibly might have to settle for 4th, but who knows. We're coming up to the back of my dad here. It's going to be a pretty easy overtake, because I don't know why, but the straight line speed on his car was absolutely dreadful, and I gained like 3 seconds on that one straight. It's a bit sad, really. I wish all the karts were exactly the same, but I know they can't, because it's a smaller company than the ones like at Lid or whatever, so they just don't have as much money to repair and maintain the karts as the rest do. And Tom gets a little bit sideways and nearly squeezes me into the barrier there. It did see me at the last second, but I didn't manage to squeeze it into that gap anyway. I try and look for a slipstream opportunity maybe, but I'm deciding it's probably best to go for my line. Then I go, Harry overtakes my dad for P5 there, and that means Harry is now up into a position which might actually improve his championship order. We'll see what happens with that at the end of this race. Now I'm battling quite hard with Tom. He's getting sideways, and I think I'm just going to put it around the outside actually there quite easily. And Harry's going to go on the attack of Tom straight away. Is he? No, he's just had to back out of it. Very hard to see, because the only camera we had there was from my dad's point of view, and we only just saw it at the right top of the shot. And I think actually here Harry is right on the back of Tom. He might even go for the move here. It's very hard. I wish I'd just been able to point my dad's camera up just a tad more so we could see this action right here, but I am pretty sure that Harry is going to be able to find a way past. His go-kart and his driving were very good in this, and I think they're... Oh, no, he hasn't. Has he put it down the inside? I'm not too sure. I think they're running very close here, and I think by the looks of it, Harry's still behind Tom. Tom is very good at his defensive driving. It's just a shame that his kart wasn't up to it today. In the wet sessions we had, he was very fast, Tom, so it's just unfortunate for him. Maybe it might be why him and my dad are very good in the wet conditions. Obviously they started 1-2 on the grid last time out. If you haven't actually watched that last race, guys, I definitely think you should, because it's a very interesting race, and we're sort of getting to about 2/5 race distance, if that's even such a thing, nearly at half distance in about a minute's time, I think, for this race. And you can see I'm just using all the curbs, just trying to gain the time that would really help me in this race. So it's a really confusing race, because how they sort of do the race wins and everything is different to how we do it on this championship, just because I think it'd be nicer to award a win for the individual races rather than just the overall time throughout the 2 races, which is how they do it. And it the reason that Will lets me quite easily past when I actually get to the back of him in a couple of laps here is because he was like 5 seconds ahead of Job, and pretty much he thought that letting me through was going to help him get close to the Job. It's kind of confusing. Don't really worry about that. It's just how they score it, and that's why Will lets me pass quite easily, is because he wants to get the advantage from trying to stick with me and then going up to the back of Job, because I think he thought that I was going to be flying up through the field, but I really didn't actually catch them at the sort of speed that I think they expected. And actually I forgot to say, I was going to say something about the lap time in that last race. The last race, I recorded my best ever lap time in that first race. I did a 29.4, which was over 0.3 of a second faster than I'd ever driven around that track before, and it's actually up there amongst one of the fastest times I've ever had round there. I think the fastest time I've ever had round there is a 28.9. So I know it sounds quite a bit, but considering I don't actually go here as much as maybe some of the marshals do, it's really crazy how I got such a good lap time there. I think it was down to the car, you know, it's a sunny day as well, obviously nice grip levels out there, and overall just everything came together for a great day here and a great lap time of 29.4. About half a second off probably the fastest time ever done here. Even though I've been here a lot, it doesn't exactly mean that I've mastered everything, but I do feel pretty confident when I've got a decent car underneath me. You know, it doesn't even need to be this good of a car, you know, but I think I could have done I could have done some 29 lap times, possibly in Will's car. I'm not too sure. I don't want to sound too cocky there, but you know, I did drive a lot better than I normally do actually, and it's actually a surprise that to me actually that actually I've won most of the races so far. So actually, out of the, you know, not including this round, out of the, actually if we include this round it might be easier. So you got one race from round one, obviously, because that was only one 30-minute race, and then I won the second race. This is so confusing. I won the first race of the second round, and then I won the first race of the third round, if that makes any sense whatsoever. So I've won 3 out of the 5 races we've done. Actually, 3 out of I honestly don't think I should be explaining this. We've done 4 races and I've won 3 of them so far, and this is the 5th race. That's probably the best way of describing it, but by the looks of it, I'm not going to be catching Joe. He's so far out in front for this, and he's probably going to pick up a decent result here. I'm not too sure who that was flying past my dad. I think it actually might have been Joe, but you can see, look at the straight line speed that my dad's Kart's got. I have no idea, but that just doesn't look right whatsoever. And you can see he doesn't, you know, get out of the way, even though he's my dad, and, you know, a bit of family rivalry here. He's, you know, blocking me off here, and I put it down the inside. That was quite a risky move. He keeps his foot in though, and we run side by side, and then he backs it out, and we can see there Will is directly behind me as he wants this position. And I think once my dad was getting lapped, he sort of got out of people's way as quickly as possible. He just didn't want to be holding any people up, and, you know, I understand why. But I think, honestly, I should tell him, you know, get stuck in with the battles. There aren't any blue flags in this championship or on this track. So, or I don't even know whether in real go-kart, I think they've got blue flags. I'm not really too sure. You can leave a comment, but, you know, I think, you know, get stuck in with the battles. It's a lot more fun when you're battling with someone. So, you know, as you saw when we went past my dad, Will was literally right up behind me, but I did manage to get into my rhythm a little bit here. I managed to really, you know, put up some decent times, and I'm not sure whether it's going to be anything like the 27.4. I think not 27.4, 29.4. If it was 27.4, I could, you know, definitely say I'm the best person to ever drive Filching Manor, because that's over 1.5 seconds faster than I think they've ever had before. I think it's a 28.9. I'm not 100% sure what the fastest ever time around this track is, but you know, having a good car and also probably a great driver, probably a light driver, is probably going to be good as well. Maybe a short light driver that's very talented and also got a good car. Probably a very unlikely explanation of who actually drove that car on the day when they got their fast ever time, but I think that was like 2 years ago when I saw that time on the sort of leaderboard, whatever. I don't think they ever print out the fastest ever time anymore. But I do think that was one of the best times I've ever, you know, done. I mean, obviously I had a good car and everything, so, but I do feel it was one of the, you know, race 1 was some of the best I'd ever driven. I just, you know, I don't know how to describe, but I just felt that I drove pretty amazingly at certain stages, not all the way through. I don't thought, you know, definitely some mistakes in there, obviously misjudging Harry's accident, and I think my dad's actually got a problem with his kart here. He's going very slowly. I'm not too sure whether maybe he's got a problem with the car or what's happening, but it just doesn't look like he's going very fast whatsoever. And, you know, I'd be pretty certain that he'd be going faster than this in a race situation. So I'm thinking that he has actually got a problem with his go-kart here. And now you can see I'm right on the back of the Job. This is the final lap here. I caught Job up, but on the final hurdle I couldn't overtake him. And that is that. I unfortunately don't get the best result, which would have obviously been P1, but we bring home P2, more solid points for the championship, 10 points. And it does sort of mean that my championship lead is a bit bigger than expected, because obviously Ben went into this round second place in the championship but didn't manage to take part. So in my opinion, it's going to be a great battle for second place in the championship now between Job and Ben, which will be returning, or who will be returning in the next event. Don't worry about that. And he will be wearing the next GoPro, the other GoPro. But we all come into the pit lane after a great day's worth of racing. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it, and let's have a look at that final championship order. Job gets his first win of the the league. That's not the right word. No, it's not the Afro League. He gets the first win of the Go-Kart Championship and promotes him up to second place in the championship with 12 points, and now 23 points behind me in first place, which I got 10 points in that race, and obviously I was 74 overall. And obviously Ben losing points because obviously he didn't race, so he still is there in third place. He obviously got one of those wins. I've won 3 out of the 5 races, so that's pretty good. There's Tom in fourth with 28 points. My dad's got 21 points. Will, after only 2 races, gets 18 points, and Harry's in 7th with 16. But I'll see you in about a month's time, guys, for another Go-Kart Championship video. Hopefully you're going to enjoy that as well. But it's been thoroughly enjoyable racing and commentating over this 3rd round. Thanks for watching. It's been Alex. I'm out of here. Goodbye.